Ladies and gentlemen, good evening once again. Good evening to all of you. Once again, you are welcome here on the Evade the Consciences platform. In international news, Iran has just threatened to withdraw from the NPT, the Non-Proliferation Treaty. If Iran were to carry out its threat, it would mean that Iran would then be free to enrich its uranium to the level required to obtain nuclear weapons. Iran is making this significant threat in a broader context of increased and sustained pressure from the international community, a global community that strongly wants Iran to completely abandon its controversial nuclear program. Because of this, the international community has imposed economic sanctions that are making life difficult for Iran. Iran is fed up, which is why it is breaking its silence and threatening to withdraw from the treaty. After all, it is because of this treaty that they are doing everything they are currently doing. But if Iran is no longer a member of the treaty, they won't be able to do anything against Iran unless they impose additional sanctions. Ladies and gentlemen, in this video conference, this is the current event we are going to discuss. But before we continue, I ask you to share the video conference as much as possible. Give it lots of likes. And don't forget to leave your various opinions in the comments. Let's dive much deeper into this matter. According to official and verified information, Iran, through the esteemed spokesperson of the National Security and Foreign Policy Commission of the Parliament, to clarify, the official spokesperson of the Parliament's National Security Commission, specifically named Ibrahim has made statements. Iran has expressed its intention to withdraw from the Non-Proliferation Treaty, NPT, and to enrich uranium beyond 60%. Beyond 60%. Remember this figure of 60% because it is a serious one. We will come back to it in a moment. Iran says they will withdraw from this treaty and enrich their uranium to more than 60% if international sanctions against Iran persist. This is a statement that marks a decisive turning point in the escalation surrounding Iran's nuclear program. Iran has always claimed that the program they are developing is a peaceful one, that they have never considered nuclear weapons. But the West, the international community, believes that Iran wants to acquire nuclear weapons. Yes, Iran wants to acquire nuclear weapons, but at the same time, Iran is a party to the Non-Proliferation Treaty. Therefore, Iran cannot acquire nuclear weapons. If Iran wants to obtain a nuclear weapon, it must withdraw from this treaty. It should be noted that the Non-Proliferation Treaty is an international agreement. That means it's an agreement concluded by several states. It's an agreement. So you join the treaty by choice and you also leave it by choice. If Iran wants to withdraw, no one can stop it, except for the sanctions that other states might impose. As we have previously mentioned, an Iranian withdrawal from this crucial international treaty would undoubtedly and significantly weaken the entire global non-proliferation regime. But above all, what is truly and profoundly serious is the how exactly should we accurately describe it. The level of enrichment that Iran wants to reach. Reaching an enrichment level of over 60%. Because, according to the information, when uranium is enriched to 20%, it is considered highly enriched just 20%, and is already considered highly enriched. And it can be used for scientific research and the production of medical isotopes. So it can be used for scientific purposes as well as in the medical field. That's at 20%. But now, enrichment to 60% or more than 60% brings the country much closer to the threshold of nuclear weapon capability. So weapons-grade uranium is enriched to about 90%. Now we have learned that Iran has enriched up to 80%. That means Iran is almost at the nuclear threshold. So there's just 10% more enrichment needed to reach 90%. And here, is a commission, the spokesperson of a commissionerless of the Iranian parliament who is making the announcement. And who is this person? He is a spokesperson for the Security and Foreign Policy Commission. So the situation is becoming very complicated. It's a threat. Iran is also using this threat to give itself some breathing room, thinking that it will push the international community to lift some of its sanctions against Iran, especially the economic sanctions. But the worst part is that the United States, the international community, will not accept it. They don't believe Iran. They don't believe that Iran doesn't want to develop nuclear capabilities, even though Iran has always denied wanting to produce nuclear weapons. They think Iran wants to acquire nuclear arms, so they believe Iran must be opposed. So we are at a decisive turning point where the West does not trust Iran, where Iran has even expelled inspectors from the International Atomic Energy Agency. So everything is mixed up, everything is in turmoil. Yes. So what should we say? We should say that the threat to increase the level of uranium enrichment is seen by many observers as a pressure tactic to obtain the lifting of sanctions. And that's where we are now. Will it work? Because there is a crisis of trust. Now, if it doesn't work, the pressure that, what do you call it? The international community is currently exerting on Iran in terms of economic sanctions. Will this international community stop this pressure because of the threat that has just been brandished by Iran? The answer is no. On the contrary, the international community will seek to increase the sanctions, which could further isolate Iran on the international stage economically. And because Iran itself says that these sanctions make life difficult, they are having trouble accessing certain essential goods. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that's the top story in international news. Please share it as much as possible. I'll be back with more news shortly. This was the voice of your one and only Samurai.